Hi, I'm Gina, and I am going to quickly do the rebuttal on the debate that I had with Benjamin. I did a PowerPoint the first time, but I wanted the rebuttal to kind of be like if it was in a real situation and I just had to jot down some notes. So I'll just tell you what I jotted down. So, he kind of started his presentation just talking about how he believes that it should be the mother's decision. And as a mother, I still have to say, I don't agree with that at all. The child is their own person and could be their own mother and is their own life. And it shouldn't just be a decision that a mother can make to end another life. I also think that there's not enough honor given to the fathers in our society. I understand that it is our body for 10 months, but that is a man's life that was just created. And if the husband or the man in the relationship wants to keep the child, they should have just as much say because the DNA of that baby is half theirs. They're the father of the child. And it took two people to make the child. So I think the father should have a say in it as well. As far as the genetic disorders, that one floors me because I never thought that we would ever get to a place in society that we would be okay with ending a life because it had a genetic disorder. It's also interesting that they use that as an excuse for abortion as far as like Down syndrome. But my question would be, as medicine continues to progress, and we end up finding ways to test for even more diseases and even more disorders, where is it going to end? As a society, are we going to only accept perfection? If somebody has cerebral palsy or diabetes or anything, and you find out that the baby might be led or possibly might have that, so what? We just don't think that they have a right to life because their life might be considered a little more difficult. And I would also submit to you that some of the children with those genetic disorders and some of those people are higher functioning, more well-rounded members of society than some of the people who do not have those disorders. That is absolutely in no way whatsoever a valid reason to end a life because we think that we have the choice to tell that child, oh, hey, by the way, I'm just going to go ahead and snuff your life out for you and not even give you the chance to succeed just because that a doctor told me that you might have a disorder. And might I keep in mind, just like on my PowerPoint, I would remind everybody that you cannot 100% always know that those tests are correct. I'm a nurse. They are not always correct. So you could actually end the life of a child off of a test that was wrong from an amniocentesis. It's not always right. So that would be my argument. My other thing is that it's also a slippery slope because it's like, okay, so you find out in the middle of your pregnancy that a baby might have this disorder and say, whatever, 15 weeks, 20 weeks, whenever they do it, you say, okay, I'm going to have an abortion because my baby's going to have Downs. How interesting is it that we can't end the life of our baby once they come out of our uterus without it being murder? So let's say at 20 weeks, a person has an abortion because their baby has Downs, but another mother couldn't have an amniocentesis for whatever reason, and they have a baby at 22 weeks that has Downs. So if she had the baby was found to have Downs in the hospital room, would she have the right to take that baby and go, I don't want this baby, let's go ahead and rip its arms and legs off, like I just could have 2 weeks ago legally? Like, that is completely mind-blowing to me that just in a 2 weeks difference, you could end the life of a child in utero because it has Downs, but then a mother would be a murderer if she decided, oh, I had this baby that has Downs that just came out, I want to kill it. Like, how is that any different? How is it any different to murder a baby that it would be murder, might I add, if she just left it in a room or suffocated it because she didn't want it, but just 2 weeks before that, she legally could have actually ended the life of her child just because a test came back that said she had Downs. So that is ridiculous to me. If you can't tell, I'm really passionate about this. Lastly, I just want to say that, to try to argue that abortion's acceptable because of health conditions for the mother and, health conditions for the baby and finances, to me, they're completely cop-outs. I got some statistics that I had written down that in 2014, 926,000 had abortions in 2014. Almost half of them, 45%, had already had previous abortions. So what you can take from that is statistically, women are not really having that many abortions because their health is in jeopardy or because of that reason. That's not the issue. You don't hear about that very often. Women are having abortions for convenience is what it comes down to. The three most common reasons that I found were because they didn't want to take on the responsibility, they didn't believe that they could afford the baby, or they thought having another child would interfere with their life or their work. It's not because of health reasons. The fact that we as a society are embracing ending a beating heart and ending a life and possibly causing pain to a fetus just because of our own selfish will, because we're afraid that we won't have enough money or it might interfere with our life, is sickening. Absolutely sickening to me. I have been a mother of 3 children. I am a nurse and have seen ultrasounds. Those are live children that are having their lives ended because somebody just doesn't want to take on that responsibility. That's ridiculous. It shouldn't be a cop-out. If you can go have sex and get pregnant, then you should have to take on the responsibility of it. And affordability is another cop-out because, yeah, children are expensive, but there's all kinds of people that have kids that can't afford the kids they have and they make the best out of it. And we wouldn't tell them, oh, hey, by the way, you're going through a tough season, so you don't have any money. Let's just go ahead and kill all your kids. You can laugh at me and think that that's not true, but it's pretty much the same thing. So I get pregnant. I don't think I can afford this kid, so I'm going to go ahead and just take out their life while they're in the uterus right before I have them. So we don't allow people to want to get rid of their children because they can't afford them before they're born. So why do we accept that? Or why do we accept that before they're born? We don't allow them to do that after they're born. So anyway, I don't think financially is acceptable at all. As far as rape, I'll just say what I already said in rebuttal to him. I just 100% adoption is, I believe adoption is what can be done. I just don't think there's any valid reason to in the life of a child. And lastly, I just want to say, why do we gauge the right to life based on the weeks that the child is and what their viability is? I just don't think that's right. I had a best friend from work whose sister in Evansville, Indiana, just had a baby at 21 weeks and 4 days. She might actually be close to one of the records in the nation. The baby's still alive, has made it 3 weeks, doesn't even have any deficits right now. It's getting closer and closer to being able to almost have a child outside of the mother and to make almost like a fake uterus world, and these babies can live outside the womb and they can be viable earlier than what physicians think, and they are babies when they come out and they have sensations and you give them a shot and they jerk, so you can't tell me they're not feeling pain in utero. So I just think that it's not an accurate mindset to say, well, I'm just going to draw the line at 2 weeks and go, at 20 weeks and say, oh, well, I'm okay as long as it's 19 weeks and 6 days. But as soon as we cross that 20-week mark, then no, we shouldn't do it anymore. That's not a line that can be drawn. Not to mention, ultrasounds can be inaccurate up to 2 to 3 weeks. So let's say they say the baby's 18 weeks and the baby's really 22 weeks, or vice versa. They're not accurate. People put too much trust in these medical diagnostics, these medical tests. I had a blood test that came back positive that I had ulcerative colitis. I didn't. It was supposedly 98% accurate. It was wrong. So people don't understand how wrong stuff can be, and they cannot trust that with 100% certainty to believe that that's valid enough to make a decision to end their baby's life. We protect animals' eggs, we protect eagles' eggs, we protect all these things because we believe that that's an animal inside that egg. We don't treat animals like that, but yet we'll treat humans as if they can be discarded just because they haven't came out of the woman's body yet. And to me, that is just the worst mentality that we have embraced as a nation. So anyway, they probably would have dinged me at the 10-minute mark or maybe even the 5-minute mark, but this is something I'm super, super passionate about. So hopefully I didn't talk too fast and you could understand me. And thanks for being a great teacher this year, and best of luck. Thanks. Bye.